Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Hard Claim with Viva Sam. I'm Sam, and this is a show where we talk to people who play Blood on the Clocktower and get their player perspective of the game. And joining us for this week's episode is Dave B. Thank you for joining.
Hello, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, yeah, as usual, we're going to start with our opening hard claim question. You have had us load in Sex and Violets. I randomly pass out characters, and you are the Pit Hag. So, with that said, if we were chatting day one and we weren't on the same team together, what would you claim?
Oh, S&V, I'm claiming Mutant Day 1, whether I am or not. That is just my standard. That's what I do, just because I have so much fun with that character. So, yeah, I'm going to claim that day one no matter what. People usually leave me alone. They know that that's what I'm doing. I'm going to lie day one. I'm not going to tell anybody anything, no matter what character I draw for this script specifically. So that's just what I do. Because that's just my way of having fun with this script. I love interacting with Madness. We'll get to Madness, though.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely be talking about that. But you are the Pit Hag. What kind of Pit Hag strategy do you usually use on this script?
There's always the obvious, let's start turning everybody into outsiders. But that's also, it's predictable. So I will, if that's, I'll typically probably do that for the most part, unless I find some other funny plays. Like I'll turn a good person into an evil twin and just start making people question what's going on. Anything that makes somebody confused is a win for me. I just want somebody going, wait, what? Why? Why? What would, like, I'll absolutely turn one powerful townsfolk into a different powerful townsfolk. Just because they're not going to understand why did that happen. I just want to confuse people, and that's my goal.
Opens up some bluffing space too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can just start claiming this wild stuff's happened to you, and it's more plausible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so Blood on a Clocktower. When did you discover it? About how long ago?
I've been playing about a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years. A friend of mine, actually, funny story here, a friend of mine in a local board game group had been talking about this game for almost a year. Like he had kickstarted it and was waiting and waiting and waiting for it to show up. And my whole local group was just like, yeah, right, you're full of crap. This game's never coming out. I don't. And he would talk about it like, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the greatest game I ever played. Just wait, it's coming. It's coming. It's going to be amazing. And we're playing other games like, whatever. So we started messing with him like, I think you're making it up. This doesn't even exist. It's not real. And after about a year, it finally came in. And like, it was so seriously for like forever. I don't know. But it took so long to show up. And we played it at his house. I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty sweet. So you might have been telling the truth. So I immediately took to it and just hit the ground running and made it basically my life for a while. I'm way too into this stupid game now.
Me and you both.
Yes. Yeah.
What was those? Do you remember what that first game was like for you all, or first several games?
Yeah, I think the first 2 games I drew Outsider. I think my first 2 games ever, I was Recluse and Saints. And I remember going, like, the Saint, I took to it pretty good. I can't remember which character I was first, but of course we played TB. And I remember not claiming Saint when I was nominated. And some people later on were like, wow, that's pretty ballsy of a play to not come out with it. I'm like, no, I thought I was pretty well trusted. I thought I could save it. I was playing the social element. I've always loved social deception games, already. So I was already quite familiar with playing, like Murder in Hong Kong and, Ultimate Werewolf and just Mafia, Secret Hitler and all these things. I'm already a huge fan of this type of game. So I was well familiar with the typical strategies and how things go. But I do remember just falling in love with the fact that everybody has a role and everything interacts in a way that it doesn't interact in any other game. There's nothing generic, which I loved. There's nothing more boring to me than being, okay, I'm good. Why? Because I'm good. Similar to like Werewolf, where you just draw a villager.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with this, like everything interacts differently. And the fact that there's multiple roles and not all of them are in play and it's a giant puzzle to solve, in addition to the social aspect, really sucked me in. And I became a world builder from game one. I just started going, well, if you're this and you're this and you're this and this, I started loving the piecing of the puzzle together to try to figure out what was going on. Irregardless of who was lying, just it became a great puzzle to solve mechanically. So yeah.
Was there a particular moment that you remember that hooked you into the game in those like kind of first several games?
First couple games. I don't think there was a specific moment. Really, I think it was the first time that I story told. Actually, was probably this specific moment. I've always been more of a guy who likes being in charge and control. I'm the guy who likes to read the rule sheet for board games ahead of time to know and try to help explain everything to people. I'm always the GM for Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. I've actually only ever been a player once in my life, and I've ran like a dozen or so campaigns. I'm just always the guy in control. So the first time I got behind the Grim, uh, and became a storyteller for the first time, I started learning that aspect. That's when I fell in love with the game, absolutely, because it was not just it was fun to solve the puzzles as a player, but creating those puzzles for the players to solve is where I fell in love. And I decided I'm going to buy my own Grim. I'm not just going to play at this guy's house. I'm going to just start. Like I started building puzzles at my house on my own. Like, all right, I'm going to build this Grim and put tokens out randomly just to teach myself the puzzle building aspect and the character selections and such. Even with nobody, just me by myself. Like, all right, I'm going to shuffle these characters and see what kind of decisions I would make. And I really love just the puzzle aspect and piecing things together and trying to set up things for other people to solve.
So you first started playing in person. How did it come about playing online?
Came out playing online because I couldn't get enough in person. That's all it was. I have a group that meets every Monday, and we had a lot of fun. But I still want to play on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I kept looking for other areas, and opportunities to do that. I joined a couple random Discord groups, and I played a little bit on the unofficial, and it was a little disappointing due to some of the personalities and the types of players that I came across, and some. Not everybody was a problem, but a couple people were. So I didn't really vibe with that group. It took a while to find the right groups of online players. Like from after I finally found the Grimoire, I really started ramping it up and playing online a lot more often, and found that it was a little bit different, a little bit more mechanical, and a little bit less social because you're not having the in-person conversations. But you're just limited to a camera, so you're missing a lot of the body movement and context and things like that. But I am primarily an in-person player. I have a lot more fun with it in person. Online is just a way to get my fix in between my in-person games. But I'm also an attention whore, so I try to get on as many streams as possible. I'm a sucker for attention, so I try to jump and put my face out there as much as I can. Try to jump in as many Discord groups and as many streams and as many things as I can do.
Well, we're here to indulge you.
Well, yeah, you're very much participating in that right now, so I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So you're pretty involved with the Grimoire. What all do you do over there?
For the Grimoire, mostly I'm one of their official storytellers. When they first started a while ago, a year and some months ago, they were like a little group with like I think 6 mods, and they just started bringing people in. I joined the group when they were about 650 members. Right now we just hit 1,700. So we've gained another 1,000 since I joined. I was one of the earlier new official storytellers as they started expanding. And basically what I do is I'm helping to run some of their games, make sure they're run well by people they trust. I tend to run a lot of the Wednesday games. They have on Sundays, there's a lot of new player-friendly base 3 games. I run a lot of custom script games on Wednesdays for more advanced players who want something a little bit more crazy, a little bit more advanced. I'll do a lot of testing there, too. I'll ask people, hey, if you have something that you've been working on, send it my way. I'll run it on these Wednesdays. I'm also in charge of, I do a little bit of their streaming. Not only am I on the stream team and I'm one of the players for the typical Monday streams whenever I'm not in my in-person games, because there's most of my in-person games are Mondays. So I miss a lot of the Grimoire streams on Mondays because I'm usually out playing. But yeah, I will run my own streams and just try to, make sure a lot of people have a lot of fun playing the game and showcasing and being an ambassador for the game. Like, hey, this is how things should be run. I try to pay a lot of attention to the rules, and I try to make sure that everything is both fun, engaging, and, as mistake-free as possible, but we're going to make them. But yeah, I'm helping to promote them, and I'm helping to make sure the games are run smoothly and make sure everybody has fun.
Excellent. Yeah, I think me and you have a pretty similar mindset there, and probably why we get along pretty well, I think.
Oh yeah, you seem to be. You're one of the first people in the Clocktower overall community that I really started hitting it off with as a person I could hang out with. Outside of the game. I
Hmm.
mean, we seem to hit it off pretty well. So yeah, I'd
Yeah,
consider you a friend.
yeah, ditto.
Yeah,
Um, I still remember when I first got you coming into my games, and that was fun.
yeah.
Now
That
you're
was me
now
being
you're doing all the
bright-eyed, like,
Grimoire
"Ooh, I
stuff.
can be on the streams." That was when I was kind of new to the stream thing. Like, "Ooh, this is gonna be great. I'm excited. I get to put my face out more."
And now you got the Grimoire.
And now I got the Grim, and now I'm on the TPI stream, and I'm everywhere.
Yeah,
So I'm happy.
excellent. All right, so you're sitting down, getting ready to draw a token for a game. What are you thinking at that time? Are you kind of like filling everybody else out? Are you looking at the script? You're just kind of chilling out.
I'm kind of chilling out for the most part. I'm not really hoping to draw any specific character type or anything. A lot of people were like anxious about being evil or anything. I'm literally just thinking, to be honest, I'm thinking, how can I be as funny as possible? I'm trying to be silly. I'm trying to make plays that make people question what's going on, and I'm trying to get people to be like, well, of course it's Dave. He's just doing whatever, and I'm just here to have fun. Win or lose, I don't care. I'm just making sure I have fun. I want people to laugh. I want everybody else to enjoy the game. So I'm literally just thinking, and like when I look at my character, like, all right, what silly plays can I make? What interesting things can I claim and just confuse people and have fun? Good or evil, I don't care. I'll make silly plays when I'm good, just to have fun.
Cool. Well, that answers some of my next several questions. So,
All right.
actually, my next questions were: prefer to be good or evil? What kind of
I
characters do
prefer
you
to
like
be
to
good.
play? And you're just like, eh.
Yeah, I prefer to be good. Just because if I start world building and I start problem solving, I can do that as good as evil. I just have to be social. I don't really need to world solve. I need to construct a world and put it out there, but that's harder because anybody else can make a play that completely unravels what I've done, and so I then have to start pivoting, and I get a little bit anxious doing that. But as a good player, I can just continuously build worlds and I get to solve the puzzle. So it's a little bit less anxiety inducing if I'm just good, because then I'm okay. I can just keep working and with new information. As new information comes in, I can just keep building upon that. I will try to help my team win. I will try to world build and problem solve, but my ultimate goal is just to have fun and just be as silly as possible. And if I can win doing that, great.
Do you think there's particular characters that help you do that more than others, or characters that maybe kind of limit you to some extent?
Characters that you know what anything that I can be mechanically confirmed uh, is my wheelhouse because I like playing around with it, similar like a virgin proc and things like that. I like being okay. Now this is confirmed. This is something we start with, and then I'm going to start playing around with that. Uh, like, for example, I'll break Mutant Madness and I'll be executed, and then I'll start claiming Sarah Novus. I like to have fun. I don't care. Just I want to be as silly as possible.
All right, and then thinking about the kind of the base scripts, of course, there's Trouble Brewing, Bad Moon Rising, Sex and Violets. Normally, ask what your favorite is. I'm going to guess it's Sex and Violets, but maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about the different scripts?
Okay. TB is wonderfully crafted. It's wonderful. It's great to play. I'm never going to get sick of it. There's an endless amount of replayability in it. Uh, there's always new interesting scenarios to come across, no matter how long you've been playing it. This year, I ran a game at Origins where we had a good demon in Final 3 having a recluse catch a star pass. The town did not believe him and executed someone else, and we had an evil win with no alive evils because the demon was still alive, and it was wonderful. Because I mean, Trouble Ruin can still surprise you if you know the intricacies of the rules and you just allow a little bit of things to happen. And I don't believe in yes but don't. I believe in yes but probably not. Like most of the time, no, but every now and then there's always a scenario in which case a yes but don't is a yes but maybe this time. Uh, so yeah. Uh, Freebie is wonderful. It can still surprise you. S&V is great as a mechanical problem solving thing. I like solving the problem of S&V. As a player, it's my favorite to play of the base three. Uh, because it's a bigger puzzle. It's a little bit more complex. There's more moving pieces. It's more interesting for me to try and solve and try to put things together and move things around. Also, as a player, it interacts with madness, which is a wonderful mechanic that I absolutely love. Not because I like keeping madness. No, I love breaking madness immediately. Every time I get anything having anything to do with madness, Harpy, I'll break it immediately. I don't care. It confirms me. It's just, that's what I do. My favorite thing to do in all of Clocktower as a player is to break mutant madness. Not just by saying I'm the mutant, but by playing with the storyteller. Like, come on, you know you want to execute me, right? Come on, do it. I'm the mutant. You're going to do it right now. Come on. And I'll like gossip, like, I'll gossip that I'm the mutant and you're going to kill me right now. I just love to have fun and tease the storyteller. And that's what I like doing the most with in all of Clocktower. And S&V lets me do that, and it's great.
Right.
BMR is fun to run. I like doing it. I hate it as a player because I can't problem solve and solve those worlds because there's too many valid worlds. I'm sitting here trying to piece it together like, well, it could have been this kill, it could have been this, it could have been this, or it could have been this. We could have these 3 demons, and we could have these 2 minions, and there's just too many viable worlds, and I can't figure it out. So I get frustrated, and I don't like playing BMR.
Yeah,
I'll play it. It's not my choice.
Yeah, I like BMR, but I'm pretty similar where I'd much rather run it than play it.
Somebody like, oh, we're playing BMR. Oh, right, I'm gonna just sit back. I'd rather co-storytell with someone else than just be a player if I can. If the option's there, like, sure, I'll just help you run. That's fine.
Mutant aside, are there any kind of characters that you like bluffing, whether you're good or you're evil?
Bluffing, I love bluffing evil. That's something I do all the time. So, like, people come to me, hey, so are you evil? Of course I am. Yeah, I'm the imp. I'm the minion. I'll claim minion. I'll claim imp. I love bluffing evil, whether I am evil or not, just because it becomes less suspicious if I do it all the time when I do it. It's just something I do. I love, like, I'm the pit hag. And I'll start building worlds where I'm this minion, and I'll start putting worlds that are obviously not true, and I'll just start building crazy worlds. It's just something fun that I do, because one, I do it because it's fun for me. But two, the longer I'm spending this time building these crazy worlds and making these bold claims, I'm not having to tell people what I really am. And in the meantime, I'm world building and problem solving in my head and piecing together everything. But yet I'd like to hold back a piece of my information. I don't typically tell people if I'm a fortune teller or if I'm a empath with information. I usually hold that back. I claim evil. I claim madness stuff. I just throw complete randomness out there and completely avoid talking about what I actually am for at least a day or two, typically, just because I'm building a world, I'm piecing things together, and I don't want to add my piece to the puzzle yet. I'd rather hold on to that and then throw it out when it makes the most sense. Yeah. If I'm claiming a good character, I probably actually am good. I don't typically. If I'm evil, I'm usually claiming evil. I'm usually claiming a different evil. If, for example, if I draw the pit hag, I'm running around telling people I'm the evil twin. And I haven't, and I'll say something stupid like, yeah, I decided not to watch when they gave me the other twin, so I don't even know who it is. And I'll make those kind of plays and just be silly. I once played a game as Trouble Brewing, claiming that I was the spy that refused the Grim, and spent the whole game. And in fact, I was seen by an investigator as the spy. I wasn't. I can't remember, I was a townsfolk. But they totally believed me, and the whole town believed it. And it was just, I had a lot of fun in that game.
Cool. All right. Well, as people can probably tell from both the thumbnail of this video and your background, you're a little bit of a fan of the Khazali.
I am a huge fan of the Khazali, yes.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
Because it does so many little things. A lot of characters, demons specifically, a lot of demons do 1, 2, maybe 3 things. Generally, for example, Imp does 2 things, basically. It kills, and then it can bounce. It can run away. It's got its own safety valve. Fangu will do 3 things. It can kill, it can obscure the outsider count by adding extras, and it can jump away and add an extra evil. So that's, every demon has, a few things they can do. The Khazali specifically does many things, and I really like that. It does probably a good 10 different things, whether you realize it does them or not. For one, it kills. Big surprise there. 2, it's an outsider mod, which you can never, just being on script, doesn't even have to be in play like a Fangu, but just being on script, you can never really count what outsiders are in. Nobody can ever be outsider count confirmed at all. 3, something else that does wonderful. You get to pick what minions are not only in play, but you get to pick what minions match the personality of the player that you're picking. Like, I think this guy would be a wonderful, player for this specific minion. Like, in my local group, we have people that are always suspicious and always executed early. There are always people that are just always going to read suspicious based on their personality. Well, those are the people I'm going to make the Boom Dandy. So not only do we have the Boom Dandy, but we also have the added extra ability of it's more likely to fire now because of the person that I decided to put it on, because they're already suspicious. People are never going to believe them. People who love claiming Goblin, like when they're not, just because they don't want to be executed, of course I'm going to make them the actual Goblin, because nobody's going to believe it. So not only am I choosing what minions are in play, I'm also increasing their value as that minion by getting to match the minions with the personality of the player that I'm choosing. People who are generally trusted, I'm going to make them a fearmonger, because people generally trust them and like the nominations they make. So it does so many little things well. I mean, it gives each of your minions a bluff to where they know something that they can claim from the start of the game. Not only do they have something to bluff as, but it also has the added ability of never in the entire game having to talk to your demon. Oftentimes people will go, well, you're evil, and I saw you chat with this guy on day one. So you just don't have to have that whatsoever. You can literally come out and be like, I've never talked to that person. I have no idea. How can we be on the same team? We've never once even chatted. It does so many little things well that it just adds up to one big thing that that's just the way I love. It's just something I love in the character. It's just so many little things. It adds up to one big advantage. It kind of comes from my days of when I used to be big, huge, addicted to Magic the Gathering. I would always be little card advantage, little mana advantage, little things here and there add up to a big, thing over time. So that's really why I love the Kazali so much. It's just, it does so many things.
Yeah, I do like the character. Maybe not as much to get a tattoo, but I do think it's a fun character.
Yeah. I was actually looking for a Clocktower tattoo specifically. I had been looking for a while too, like for 5-6 months. I have a lot of tattoos. I love getting them, and I try to mark significant periods, moments of my life, and significant events and things that I'm into. Clocktower it became vastly, like very fast, a very huge part of my life. So I was like, you know what, I probably should stamp this and get this somewhere. I spent a good amount of time trying to consider what would be the best Clocktower tattoo to get, and as soon as the Kazali releases, I'm like, oh, that's it. It's just the character icons are just the easiest to tattoo. They're just little symbols. It's perfect. It's easy. You put it anywhere. The reason I put it on my hand was because when we play in person, I'm the kind that puts my hand over my face at night. I don't just close my eyes. So now that it's on my hand, I can still see. So that was why I chose there.
I like it.
Because to me, it's just silly.
Awesome. All right. Well, I do like to ask about some quote-unquote divisive characters just to see what people think of them. And we'll start with the only one from the base script. It is from Sex and Violets. How do you feel about Snake Charmer?
Snake Charmer is great. I like running it regular. I do not like the Alejo rule that is quite popular amongst people who don't like Day 1 Snake Charming. I love the Snake Charmer as a regular, just as is. It's great. I love Day 1 Snake Charms. If you can Day 1 Snake Charm and become the new demon and win, you get double points as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it's hard, but it's a well-designed character. Snake Charmer is amazing. If I am the Snake Charmer, I'm happy about it. A lot of people hate it, and a lot of people are sad, and they just choose themselves every night because they're just so afraid or anxious of being the demon. I like to think that I'll typically weigh my options. Like, okay, they're generally trusted. I'll try to pick people that I think are more than likely confirmed good. I'm not looking for the demon. I'm looking for people to confirm. Am I wrong sometimes? Absolutely. I'll become the demon every now and then. Yeah, and it sucks, but hey, I'm not expected to win in that scenario if I become the new demon. So it's not that bad, because if I Snake Charm the demon, become the new demon, I'm probably going to lose, and it's fine. I'm just going to have as much fun as I can and just throw much shade and just hope for the best. But Snake Charmer is great. I do love the Snake Charmer. It's fun. Awesome. Anything where I can have an active role is super fun for me. If there's something that I can actively do.
All right.
I'm not a big fan of drawing like a base for, top, you start knowing characters. I'm like, well, okay, I'm done. Now I just get to world solve. If I can do something actively, and Snake Charmer definitely lets me do something active for the entire game.
Awesome. All right, next character on the list. How do you feel about Poppy Grower?
Poppy Grower gets a bad rap. I think it's wonderful. It's a necessary inclusion for the game. A lot of people hate it, especially my local group. It has some people who really, really hate it. Because I don't think it's such a bad thing. Yes, it usually delays the starting. Eventually, the Poppy Grower is going to die. The evil team will eventually learn. I've had games then where a psychopath killed their demon on day one because of a Poppy Grower, and those are just fun stories. You can feel bad about it, but then it becomes an awesome story to tell later. I don't hate, even if I'm a minion or if I'm the demon in a Poppy Grower game, that's fine. I usually play Outer Evil anyway, so it doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to be claiming evil the whole game. Sometimes people come to me like, you know what? I'm just going to trust you. I think you are evil. I'm evil too. Great, fine. I don't think it's as devastating as some people think it is. It might be a little bit of a feel bad to be a minion or be a demon on a Poppy Grower game because it is a powerful character. I don't think it's as big as a feel bad as some people think. Or at least maybe it's just my local group that has a huge aversion to it. Maybe it's not as big as widespread, but that's the group I play with the most. So
Right.
I get a lot of negative feedback about that on certain scripts.
Yeah. I mean, I put it on this list because I feel like it is divisive. There are a lot of people who just don't like it, which is fair. And then there's people who think it's great and it does something interesting to the game.
I think it's a necessary inclusion. I do think it is a definitely a good piece of the puzzle. You don't always have to use it. Not every character is a good piece. There's nothing bad. There's no characters that I absolutely hate. Everything has a place. Now, you might put it in the wrong place and it might be terrible on a certain script, but there is a script for it.
Yeah. And I think you need a good script for it because it needs to be balanced to some degree, which is true of most characters, really.
But about everything, really,
right.
Every character needs the right script.
Yeah. All right. Well, our next character. How do you feel about Atheist?
Atheist also gets a bad rap, but I think it's also the hardest to storytell, and the reason it gets a bad rap is because not many people storytell it correctly or very well. A lot of people try to run Atheist because they think it's fun, like storytellers, like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to create this puzzle, but they're doing it for themselves a lot of the time. They're trying to have fun in an Atheist game when they're not really giving the players the experience of an Atheist game. It is the most difficult to run. It's hard for me to run. I've been doing this, a year and a half. I've been mainly a storyteller. I've storytold hundreds and hundreds of games, more than I've been a player. It's still ridiculously hard to do. It gets a bad rap because it's hard to do, but it definitely has some potential to have some fun interactions and interesting interactions that you wouldn't have without it. Things like Vizier. I've had games where like the Vizier was able to execute the storyteller because people think it's just atheists and things like that, and some fun plays that you wouldn't have otherwise. But again, it's the wonderful piece of the overall puzzle on the right script, but it's also probably the hardest character to run in all of Clocktower, in my experience. It's vastly harder than like Legion or anything else. It's just leaving clues to the nature that it is an Atheist game is a hard thing to balance because it's either too obvious or not, strong enough. So not only are you, there's all good, but you have to leave clues and you have to tell a story and they have to pick up on it. But it's so hard to do. I've only once or twice ever seen it done like really well.
Yeah, and Atheist being, I agree, it's probably the most expert character to storytell, and this gets a little into speculation territory, but some people think it'll be on Garden of Sin, and I'm like, I don't think they'll put that advanced of a character on an intermediate script.
I don't think it can be on an intermediate.
We'll see. We won't get too much into that because there's so much unknown, but anyway, that was just an aside.
Yeah. I put very little thought or process into all the. I know about the upcoming scripts are being worked on. I have put no effort whatsoever into learning what might be on which script or anything like that. I literally just tune all that out. It's just I love playing with the characters as they release wonderful information. Like, great, this is a great piece. I put no thoughts into where it might fit in the overall puzzle. I'm just waiting to see like the rest of you guys. So.
Yeah. All right, next character to talk about. How do you feel about Heretic?
Heretic is when I first started playing, I absolutely hated it. This was probably the first character that I disliked as a new player because I'm like, oh, I can do all this time. I spend all this time world building and solving, and then suddenly, I solve the game, and then you lose anyway. Like it was a feel bad. I've come around to it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's again, just like anything else, it's a great inclusion on the right script. It's hard to find the right script for that character. It's not hard to storytell for. It's just hard to find the right script to put it on.
Yeah.
And that's really the challenge there is not just is it in play, but what fits around it to make it to where both teams can world build and solve. And it is something that the good team can find and, can you trust the right people and such.
I've started to kind of compare it sort of Damsel in a way where it's kind of a social character because you need to almost take that risk to find people you can trust and who will cover for you.
You have to out it to people on your team, but you have to make sure it's going to the right people. So same thing with Damsel. You kind of absolutely have to find something like, this is who I am, but you have to get it to the right person. Because without it, it's just the game is over.
You need a team that'll cover for you to some extent, either basically bluffing it, and of course Heretic. It might be good to bluff even if it's not in play.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like the community is still trying to figure out the strategy for that, and it's a tougher one to work around. But yeah. I think there's some potential
and there's other
there.
things to do with the Heretic besides whatever you even play. Like I ran a game this past weekend at my house actually, where I put Heretic as a demon bluff. For one, just so you know, hey, you don't have to worry about it. Everybody else has to potentially worry about it. Mm-hmm. So it's it doesn't even have to be in play. You can play with it and do other things with the Heretic. Just you can push this world and try to get them to implode. It's a good tool.
Yeah. All right, one more character for this section. How do you feel about Legion?
Legion. I would like to run more Legion games. I think they're a lot of fun. A lot of people don't like to be in Legion games. I don't know why. I absolutely love being in a Legion. If I am a Legion, this is the ultimate fun for me because I get to say whatever I want, do whatever I want, be as silly as I want. It doesn't matter. I'm not mechanically doing anything. I'm not even choosing the kills at night. I can just do whatever I want, have as much fun as I want, and just trust that the storyteller will make something balanced. I love playing as Legion. It's so fun. I don't even mind being good in a Legion game and having to figure it out. It's perfectly fine. I love Legion. It's one of my favorite demons to run as a storyteller. I just wish more players would give it a shot. A lot of people are just a little bit hesitant because, oh my God, there's like 9 evils, and it does seem scary, I guess. But it's a lot of fun if it's on the right script. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten to do Legion in person?
Yes, I have gotten to do Legion in person.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Mainly, I've heard that it's. I was just gonna say I've heard it's good online, but much better in person. So that's why I'm really curious to hear.
It's much better because then you wake up everybody at night and they're just like, oh hi, great, this is wonderful. We're a team. There's a social aspect of being Legion that you just don't get online. It is a much better character in person. It's a lot of fun.
And that might be the big difference too. Why people feel about Legion the way they do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is a little bit disconnected online, playing it online. But it's absolutely great. Everybody wakes up and you're waving to 6 other people and hanging out. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, so I have another section here. This is a sort of an update to our what we used to do for multiple choice. I'm going to call this or that. So let's go through the list here, and I'm curious. I think I'm really curious to see what you would say here. Night Watchman or Pixie?
Pixie.
Okay.
Why? It's madness induced. I'm gonna break the madness. Hey, everybody, this is in play. I'm not claiming the role. I'm just gonna claim to be Pixie. That's my playstyle. That's what I want to do.
Sounds good. I picked these out earlier before we were talking, but I was curious to come back to it because you mentioned liking that confirmation, and both of these, Night Watchman's really hard confirmation, but Pixie is also pretty good confirmation itself.
Pixie's more fun confirmation, at least for me.
I do like Pixie a lot. Yeah, cool. All right, Shugenja or Steward?
Shugenja. With Steward, it's a little bit like, okay, I know one player, I'm done. Shugenja, I can still world build a little bit more. Okay, I think it's this guy, but if it's not, okay, it could be this guy. It could be this guy. It's a little bit more puzzly for me. It's a little bit more, okay, I get to solve something. And plus, it could be equidistant. Hey, maybe I'm poisoned. It's actually the other way. And then I start world building that direction. It gives me a little bit more, it's a little bit more active than just, I know a player and I'm done.
Makes sense. I did have a game a few weeks ago where the closest evil player was 4 or 5 seats in one direction.
Oh yeah, I had one.
And that
this
was
weekend.
hilarious.
Yeah, we had the same thing. I had we had like a 14-player game, and it was like 5 away, and they were almost in a line. They were so far away. They were just trying to kill everybody, and I'm like, this is great. As a storyteller, I'm like, this is wonderful. It's working perfectly.
Yeah. What I also think is funny about Steward is what I've noticed more and more is stewards are almost never trusted like past halfway through the game. Like if you say, hey, I saw you, halfway through the game that player is going to be like, I don't think you're actually the steward, I think you're just lying, even though they really are.
It's too easy of a bluff, so people don't trust it. The whole evil team is like, well, I know you're good, so I can just claim steward. It's a free bluff. And not only that, like I get it, like a lot of people are a little bit bummed out to draw steward. They think it's almost like a boring character. So if you're like, oh, I'm playing steward, I see you. If they seem excited, they're probably lying.
I like it pretty well. I remember when it came out, Ed was saying that it's one of his favorite characters to. It's fun to be as. It's fun to bluff as good. It's fun to bluff as evil. You just kind of like you said. It's just easy and just kind of like throw it out there.
It's a good tool. It's good for script building. It's great to be on a lot of scripts. It fits a nice role. It may not be the flashiest. It may not be the most fun to draw, but it definitely helps a lot of scripts, and it definitely has a place.
All right. So next one, we'll move to some outsiders. Damsel or Klutz?
Damsel. Klutz, I could potentially lose the game. I could potentially lose the game for either. Klutz, I'm like, okay, I choose them, and I could just actively lose the game. Damsel, the last time I drew the Damsel token, I claimed Damsel the whole time. Honestly, I just told everybody, I'm the Damsel. Because that's something that I would do even if I wasn't. Because I'm always claiming mutant, I'm always claiming outsider, I'm claiming evil. I just outed that I was the damsel day 1 to everybody. And day 3, the minion guessed that I was the damsel and won the game. And I lost. But I had fun doing it. I'm like, maybe they'll bite, maybe they won't. But it'll be hilarious if at the end of the game, they're like, and Dave was the damsel. Like, wait, really? You were actually doing that? I was just having fun. So yes, I like being the damsel. I'm going to claim it. I don't care if I lose. I just want those fun scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Damsel quite a bit. All right.
I do like Damsel. Damsel without Huntsman on a script is a lot of fun for me, too, as well. Huntsman is not super exciting. A lot of people think it's kind of a feel-bad, but if Damsel's on the script and not Huntsman, I think it's more powerful. It definitely... Yeah. I mean, I put it on my psychosocial script, which I get a lot of traction for. Damsel is a lot of fun. It's one of the characters that make that script work.
I've come to, regarding Huntsman, I've come around to the idea that its biggest utility is just simply knowing that a damsel's in play. Yeah. Although, funny enough, I only just for the first time a few weeks ago ever had a Huntsman pick a damsel in a game I ran. First time in like 3 years that I've ran it.
I have a good story about the Huntsman. I have my in-person game. I had a Huntsman who was not familiar with the Huntsman. They'd never drawn it before, and we don't, play with it too often. They didn't realize it was once per game, the guess. So night 1, I wake them up, they choose, and they pick correctly. They pick the damsel.
That's amazing.
And they nailed it day 1. And I walk over to the damsel, and I let them know, hey, you're now this townsfolk. I wake them up, do the thing. And then the Huntsman is raising their hand in the night. So I come back to them, and they like bring me down to whisper, like, I'm sorry, I forgot it was actually once per game. Can I take that back? I want to use it later. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You read the character, so you should know what it is. and I can't take it back. I've already woken the player. But the funny thing is, during the day, the next day, the damsel finds the huntsman and says, "Hi, did you pick me?" And the huntsman's like, "No," because they thought I did take it back.
Oh no.
And they said no to the damsel that they correctly picked night one. And the whole game, they were like, "Who picked me? What's going on? Where is this huntsman?"
That's fun. All right, next question. We got Butler or Zealot?
Zealot.
You like Zealot?
Because it's more fun to bluff, even if I'm not the Zealot. Butler is, I mean, it's okay. It's got its uses. I understand a lot of people don't like it as much, and a lot of people have been replacing Butler with Zealot on a lot of TVs they play. I get it. I'm not going to replace it myself. I'm still going to run Butler as is. There's a social aspect of Butler that a lot of people miss. But Zealot is a lot more fun to play as and a lot more fun to bluff as well. Like, oh yeah, this is a great, even not just outing that you're Zealot without ever claiming it. I'm going to claim something else, but oh, this is wonderful. I'm going to vote on this too. I'm going to vote on all of them.
All
but
right.
Claim something else. Anytime I can be silly like that, it's great.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting one to ask about because I've seen so many people say Zealot's just a less interesting Butler with less agency, which I don't agree with at all. But
no, I don't agree with that either. Zealot is absolutely fun. You can, I love Zealot. It is one of my more favorite of the recent released Outsiders.
Yeah, like I don't know that I love it per se, but like I don't dislike it. Like I think it's a good character. Like I'd probably put it pretty middle of the road, which for me is pretty good. I mean, there's not many characters that I personally just like really dislike. All right, so we'll go on.
Over.
Exactly. All right, maybe on to some minions. How about Mezephiles or Pit Hag?
Mezephiles. For the longest time, that was the bane of my existence. Not because I hate it, because I love the character. When I first started storytelling, I was like, wow, I can't wait to start having people turn evil. It was just something that appealed to me. Like, I can't wait to give a player a word and have people turn evil. But I ran the Mez for like 3, 4, 5 games, and nobody would ever say the word, or nobody. It never happened. It became a running joke. Like, I can't get Mez people to turn. It was ridiculous. And it became like this pie in the sky thing that I couldn't finally. I finally got it. Because my first Mez turn as a storyteller was funny because I had a player turn to the Mez. It was like, "Hi, you want a word? It's dragon." And the Mez was like, "Fine, you want my word?" And they got him to say it. Thought they were bluffing, and it was funny because they turned that night. And it was like, "Oh, damn it, it was a real Mez." But I love the Mez. It's a lot of fun. Not only that is it fun, but I love coming up with words and trying to give them. Hey, you're gonna have to say this. And it's gonna be hilarious. A lot of the fun is coming up with what word do I give them and trying to find out. Plus, it's a lot of fun to have people throughout the game randomly, hey, I'm going to say nutcracker. People just randomly throw out words throughout the game, and it makes it fun for everybody.
Even if Mezephiles isn't even in play.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be play. Lumpen proletariat. That's not the word, but hey, people were having fun with it, and it makes the game overall more fun for everybody just by saying silly things. So Mez is absolutely wonderful. Yep. For the longest time, it was like my favorite minion.
Do you prefer... I guess it's partially a storyteller question, but also a player question. Do you prefer Mezephiles? Because technically the intention of Mezephiles is to convince somebody to want to say the word. But some people prefer to run it as trying to trick somebody into saying the word. Do you have a preference on those two?
I think it's a lot more fun when you can get somebody to say the word without them knowing it, without them realizing it, like bringing up an off-topic subject and having them turn evil in the night and be like, wait, what happened? Why is this going? In my local group, there's like 4 or 5 people that are just tell me the word, I'll say it, and they just want to be evil. I never give them the word. It's too fun. I mean, it's too easy. So I will always try to bring it up, and I'll if I'm the storyteller, I'm going to make it a word close to something that we've already been talking about. I had a game not too long ago where I was storytelling. And I was doing the night 1, and minions were learning their demons learning their minion. We're going through the normal, setup of the game, and I gave them as the word, and everybody's just talking about some band that they had seen or some music thing going on. So I give the Mez word, I give them like guitar or something similar, just music related. And then they ask a question, and somebody answered it on the other side of the Grim, and I'm like, well, the Mez word was said night 1 before we've even woken up. So Mez is so fun. If you can trick somebody into saying it, that's the best. I love it. as a player and as a storyteller. If they're like just the whole, wait, what? Why did I turn evil? That's anytime somebody's confused, I'm happy.
All right. Next question: you got Goblin or Vizier?
Goblin. I've never drawn the Vizier token, so that could be skewed because I might like it more when I draw it. But from the moment I read Goblin, I was like, wow, this is great. I can't wait to draw this token. It just seemed, it was like the first moment I read it, like, well, but this is my new favorite minion. I can't wait to play with this. I can't wait to run it as a storyteller. I can't wait to draw it. It's just, I mean, anybody can claim it. I claim it all the time. Again, I love playing Outer Evil, even when I'm good. So I'll absolutely claim Goblin. I've never gotten a Goblin win. Someday I will, I hope. But It's fun. And even when I claim Goblin, I get executed anyway, and I die. Then I start telling, well, obviously I'm poisoned. You know, I'm just having fun. But I love the Goblin. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of characters who have an alt win condition where kind of the main point of it is less about winning with that condition and more just changing how people approach the game. You know, obviously, it basically just makes you scared to want to execute people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's the win condition is secondary. Things like the Alcihir and things. The Alcihir is great because you're eliminating worlds. You might accidentally win, but you're really just eliminating worlds. So, you know, I love alternate win conditions. I feel like we should have more, personally, but not because we need the alternate wins, but because of the mechanics and what they do to get that. It does change the game. The fearmonger.
Right.
You're afraid of who you're going to nominate and you're afraid of who you're going to vote for. So it's not that I think we need more fearmonger wins. It's that I think we need more questioning what you already know. That's what I love about here.
Or even Vortox here in Sex and Violets. Yeah. All right. We'll move on to some demons. How about Leech or Leviathan?
I prefer Leech. Leech has a little bit more player agency. I'll always lean more towards player agency. Leviathan doesn't kill, so you're only social. If you draw the Leviathan, you're just social the whole game. You just have to be trusted. Leech, you do have a little bit more player agency, and I will always lean in that direction if I have the opportunity to. I would rather draw it because I get to actively do things. I get to choose who am I going to poison, who is most likely to be trusted. You know, obviously I'm not going to pick the guys that gets executed every single game, but then I also get to help target my kills and such. So yeah, Leech definitely because of it's just more player agency.
All right, fair enough. And then finally we have Imp or Fangu.
Imp. And it's not even close. Fangu is fun, you get to jump, but Imp is just, to me, it's a lot more powerful in that it can always escape, and it can escape 2, 3, 4 times. Fangu jumps once, and you're locked. Imp can jump 3, 4 times, and as I brought up earlier, it could even jump to a Recluse, and you could win the game dead. So it has more functionality, at least for me.
For me, it feels like quintessential Clocktower, really. Like, if I think Clocktower Demon, and, you know, partially maybe it's because it's on Treble Brewing, but, you know, Imp's just so popular even outside of Treble Brewing. It's really good script.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a script that it doesn't fit on as well. It's just so well-rounded. It can go on nearly any script, and it would be right at home. It's just well-designed.
Yeah. All right, one final question here. And so looking at this script of Sex and Violets, what character would you like to be in real life?
Real life? Oh, Mutant, of course. Why? Because I grew up a huge X-Men fan.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to throw that out there, too. Yeah, it's probably good.
I think I've told this story before, but so, you know, on the topic of, you know, people breaking madness privately away from the storyteller, which some people find controversial. I don't. I think it's silly.
Dude, if I don't hear you, you're fair game.
But my favorite time I walk in, and I didn't execute on this, even though I know I could have, but my favorite times I walked in, or this is online, so came into a conversation, and there was a pause, and then they were talking about X-Men, and one of the players was a mutant.
Yeah, I mean, you could have totally broken on that. That's obvious. But you know, I'm not necessarily going to break in it either. I absolutely love madness.
Although one of the best things to learn as a storyteller about madness really is less about detecting madness and more about knowing when or when not to execute.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm ever a player and I'm the mutant, or if I'm mad, the storyteller, if you execute me, you're probably doing it wrong, because I am absolutely trying to confirm myself. So the worst thing that you can do is leave me alive if I'm the mutant.
All right. Well, before we go, is there anything you would like to plug?
Sure. I'll go ahead and plug the Grimoire. We're a Discord group. We're 1,700 members strong. We play multiple times a week. I'm wearing the merch right now. Anyway, you can join us at thegrimoire.gg. And we stream Mondays. I'll stream occasionally here. I have a stream coming up on September 5th where I'll be running. I'll actually be doing a co-stream with the fellows in Kinky Clocktower. It'll be me and Joe from that group. A couple members of ours, a couple of theirs. We'll just get together and have some fun, play some games. But yeah, come join the Grimoire. If when you're not playing with Sam in his hard claim group, because he can't stream, he can't play every day. So when you're bored,
if only.
Yeah. And Sam, you too. You come play with us more often too.
If only. It's all about the time. I've said it many times on here, but the Grimoire is a group I like a lot, and I like pointing. It's like one of two groups I like pointing new players to, because I know it's just a really good place to go get games and have a friendly community a very welcoming community.
Yeah, it's the first one that I've actually felt like at home at. Of all the ones I joined and then like this place isn't quite me. This one isn't me. The Grimoire was the first one I was like, this is actually really nice. I do like the people here, and I like the atmosphere. I think I can stay. And just like I do, I try to, whenever I find something I like, I try to take over. That's what I do. I took over my local group. Now I'm the storyteller every game. Grimoire, I'm like, hey, this is cool. I want to be a player. And now I'm one of the main storytellers, and I'm one of the streamers too. And, I try to take over and be in charge of anything I like. So yeah, I started just shoving my face in until they accepted me, and it worked.
So next year we're going to expect Dave to start hosting Hard Claim instead of myself.
Hey, you're going to retire someday.
All right. Well, Dave, thank you for joining. Right. Well, thank you for joining. It's been great having you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Anytime you need me for anything, I'm always happy. You're one of the greatest dudes in this community. I like hanging with you. I like playing with you. I love just chatting with you when it's just me and you, sending messages back and forth, talking about the game, just hanging out on Discord, chatting. I love hanging out with you, man. I can't wait to meet you in person. We've yet to do that. Come to the same convention with me sometime.
Hopefully, Final 3 Con this coming year.
I will be there.
I plan to. Me and Nina both plan on being there.
I'll pick you up on the way. You're only like 2 hours, 3 hours south. I don't know, maybe 3 hours south of me. I'll pick you up on the way. Let's go.
We'll talk about that after. But
all right,
Dave, thank you for joining, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of Hard Claim.